Welcome to my budget deck channel where I try to make decks as cheap and playable as possible. So if this is something you'd be interested in, then why not subscribe? Today with, well, not the quality content that you're used to on my channel, wink wink, but it is at least something. I wanted to show off this final board of the Time Thief Springans deck that I did a while ago at this point. But I really like this because it shows that with, well, let's say like 3 to 4 cards, specific cards, you can put up an insane board for a deck that is very cheap in comparison to most like meta decks and whatnots. Obviously, you have the issue that, well, if the opponent had like one hand trap that would stop any of this, you would end with a significantly less strong board, but still not terrible. If they had like one Ash Blossom and whatnots, this would have done quite a bit to it, but not all that much, because we have 2 different play starts, or 3 basically at this point. The only thing is Maxi is, as usual, a pain in everyone's, well, every combo deck player's, well, you know where. So we will talk about this starting hand. We have cards that we need and cards we don't need. We do not need this card, we do need this card, we do need this card, and well, we do need this card for, in a way, it could have been like the field spell as well, any other way to search the field spell, so it doesn't really matter that it's Springans Watch. You can obviously have any other way of having the field spell in here, which aren't that many since terraforming is banned now. Let's see what can be done here, because we obviously have to watch out. If we activate the field spell first, that's still fine. But if we use the effect of the field spell, then we can't use the effect of Time Thief Regulator, so we always have to start with Regulator's effect kind of first. Although we could try to bait out the Ash Blossom by using Springans Watch here first, and then hope that the, well, Time Thief combo is a bit better than the Springans combo. Although I'm not 100% sure it is. They both put up like 2 disruptions-ish usually, so it doesn't really matter which of the 2 you get into, because in the end you'll end on, well, not the same, but like kind of the same-ish. I think the Springans set is better than resolving one Time Thief Regulator though, so always keep that one in mind, because I think you end on like the Xyz monster, Therion, Regulus, and the Captain Sargas if you have Springans Kit as well, so that would be a tiny bit better. But if you just have the field spell and no kits, or just Time Thief Regulator, it doesn't really matter all that much, because I think in the end you'll be roundabout at the same board if like with the other ones. So let's talk about what I decided to do here. We start out with activating Springans Watch to bait potentially an Ash Blossom, because we still have the whole, well, technically we can't really use Kit without the field spell, so could have gone for Regulator first, like I said. Choose one path you want to go. I chose this one. Now obviously going into Regulator, because this one gets us very important cards from the deck. Then we send stuff to the graveyard. Chain block here, so because the send to the graveyard isn't, in my opinion, as important as the search, because the search is a spell trap negate, and the other thing is just to get rid of some stuff in your opponent's graveyard. So I felt like this chain link makes a bit more sense, at least to me. You can do it the way you want it to, and if your opponent has Veiler or Ash Impermanence, then it doesn't really make much of a difference. We obviously send Fly back to the graveyard, because this card has a graveyard effect, and then we add Retrograde to our hand, so we can have one spell trap negate if we have a Time Thief Xyz monster, which we already would have if we use those ones. Then we can go into the whole place of the field spell. We discard one Springans Kit. Any Springans monster works at this point. Then we have Merrymaker, which can send brothers to the graveyard, and since we have Kit here, that's actually pretty good, because otherwise we wouldn't really have had a way to get Kit out here, because we don't have a fusion monster in our graveyard. But with the whole combo of Merrymaker and Springans Kit in our hands that we then can discard for the field spell, we now can summon Kit, and with Kit summoned we can obviously trigger the effect of Kit and search the spell card, and the spell card is very important here, branded in High Spirits, and we tuck the one Kit back because we'll add it to our hand anyway. Could have also gotten Bezel Ship back, didn't really matter at that point. Then activate the spell card, because we want to send the Ironclad Dragon to the hand, and now we wanted to have Bezel Ship on our hand, because this is actually a machine monster, so we couldn't have sent Kit back, because Kit isn't a machine. Keep that one in mind. I think that's why I did it in the end, because you do need the same type, and since this is a machine, and since Bezel Ship is a machine, we could have sent that to the graveyard, so it made sense that we send Kit back to the deck, mainly anyway because we wanted to search it. So there is that one. Now we can go into Sargas. It doesn't really matter what kind of way you do. You can get Tally Ho now and do some things with that, or you go for the Therion play and just get Regulax, because we have lots of machine monsters in the graveyard, so we can go into this. I don't know if there was potentially a way to go into this first and stop like hand traps that your opponent had, but I think we had to use the whole Merrymaker effect and everything anyway, so I don't think it would have made much of a difference here. Equip it with the Time Thief Regulator, doesn't really matter what you do. Then we can go into the Time Thief Redoer, because this card can be very, very helpful. So now we have a Time Thief monster, we can yoink one card from the top of the opponent's deck, we can yoink one card from their graveyard with the card of Flyback, and we have Time Thief Retrograde, so we can equip one spell or trap card to this one as well if your opponent activates it. So that's very nice. We have the Omni Negate of the Therion King Regulus that, well, has to tribute itself, but still is an Omni Negate. We have the Gigantic Champion Sargas. If you detach one Xyz Meteor from a monster, which we can easily do at any time with Time Thief Reader, then we can pop one card on the field. So that is very, very neat as well. And now we still have one Springans kit in our hand, which we can special summon because we have a fusion monster in our graveyard. And with these two, because they're both dark, very, very important, we can go into one of the budget hero rank 4 dark decks, is Evil Swarm Nightmare. This card also not too bad. It's not that great. Sometimes it's completely useless, but sometimes it can stop your opponent's plays a lot. The only issue is this only works on special summon, so it doesn't really do that much against decks that mainly normal summon, but still a nice card you can go into. Obviously, there's plenty of other rank 4s. Could have gone into Abyss Dweller if you wanted to. You could have gone into Tornado Dragon if you wanted to. There's plenty of stuff that, if you want to invest a little bit, you could go into here as well. And now we still have the trap card, and we still have the fusion monster in our graveyard. So we summon Springans Captain Sargas, so another card that at will can detach one Xyz material from a card. And well, in this one, it has to be a Springans Xyz monster. No, that's just the thing. You can use any. The first effect is for it to attach itself to a monster, because then it wouldn't work with any of these. But this can detach one from any Xyz monster you control. And this Time Thief Redoer will have quite a lot of Xyz material, so that also works. And we get another pop. So we have a full board of stuff. We have one Omni Negate, one Spell Trap Negate, one pop, another pop, 2 flip downs of special summon monsters, and potentially a spin to the deck, but we'll see how that goes. But depending on what it is, at least a card draw, or it can dodge out, and so on and so on and so on. And when it dodges out, I'm pretty sure it uses the effect of this one, because if face up Xyz monster you control leaves the field by card effect, you can target one monster your opponent controls. It cannot attack for the rest of this turn, so that can also come in handy even if you only attach monsters to this card. So there is still that one as well, but we need this on board obviously for retrograde first. So there's all the cogs working together very, very well. Very strong end board. And now watch me screw it all up, because I'm a terrible player, and yeah, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. We are playing against some branded Albas stuff, with some of the new stuff, some of the old stuff. They use branded and high spirits here, chain it to the effect of my redoer yoinking a card. I mean, I guess it makes sense. They don't want me to steal maybe a powerful one-off that they have in the deck that they usually would search with it. I don't know. It is what it is. We will find out. I could have negated this here, but I thought I can still take care of anything that they search, so it doesn't really matter too much. And the card in graveyard, technically, I could still get rid of with the whole flyback. So there's that as well. Yeah. Keep that one in mind. They sent Albion, and they sent another card that is Fallen of Albas. Now that's important because they searched the Virtuosa, which can be special summoned if you control a Fallen of Albas or is in your graveyard. So what I thought is, if you use the effect and then the Fallen of Albas isn't in your graveyard anymore, you can't special summon it anymore. That's not how it works. It's before the semicolon, so at the moment where you can only activate it if it is in your graveyard, but once you activate it, it doesn't matter anymore if it's in your graveyard or not. So I should have just gotten rid of it now if I wanted them to stop special summoning it from their hand, and just take the Fallen of Albas. Now what I do is absolutely worse, because I wait till they activate the effect of the Virtuosa. I got a spell card here as well, just to keep track of that. First of all, they go for a fusion. I was like, I don't have that many monster negates. I have one, but once they are on board, it doesn't really matter if I pop them anymore. I don't want them to be going into something that could potentially be annoying for me. So should I negate this here and hope they don't have a way to get into branded fusion? Besides, I still have Regulax anyway, so I thought even if they did, potentially would be better to do this here. Not 100% sure. I went for it in the end. Might have been wrong, might have been right. I'm not that well versed in people playing branded in white in the first place, but yeah, it is what it is. So another spell card equipped to this one. Now they activate the effect of this card, and I thought, oh, if I get rid of the Fallen of Albas in their graveyard, then they can't special summon this anymore, but that's not how it works. should have done that beforehand if I wanted to do it anyway, because now I can't get rid of the Albion as well. They would technically get stuff during the end phase, so that's a bit annoying for myself here. Doesn't really matter too much in the long run, but yeah, they get this card on board. They can chain the effect to the effect of my Evil Swarm Nightmare, but I thought, how many monsters can they special summon if I get this effect off anyway? So I just thought to force them out of the special summon now of the fusion and see if they can use it, or if they can't use it. They obviously can use it because they have still stuff in their hand, which is one of the cards that I don't think many people are playing, but I think they're going more for the whole Coritis build rather than for the other stuff. They have all the other stuff in here, but for some reason they really seem to like this card and go for Despian Comedy, a card that I don't think is really being played at Despian anymore. Maybe at the start when the whole thing came out, like a one-off. I don't think that's very played anymore. So they reduce the attack points to 0 here, and they normal summon Tri-Brigade Mercurier. Not quite sure why that is. You can send this card from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard to negate the effect, so it didn't really matter. But I guess if they didn't have another normal summon, might as well, because they can run some stuff over here with like the regulars or whatnot. So this card does some stuff on board, and it still has the effect of this, so it still works. I thought, let's pop this one here, so detach one card from Redo, because it really doesn't matter all that much. And now I can pop the fusion card as well. They use, for some reason, Despian Comedy here, because they would have been able to float into more stuff if they just let me destroy it. And with this, they get nothing from it, so not the best play here. But even if they got floating into some other stuff, I would have still had some place here. I still had Therion card, and we would have been fine-ish. But obviously, if you're a better player than me, then this board will be good against most decks that you play against. Like, there's not many decks that can play through all of this and then deal with your plays during the next turn as well. So there is that. They noticed their mistake here, and they surrender. So yeah, it is what it is. Hope you enjoyed the, bit of a difference between like a combo guide or a replay video or whatnot. I hope you learned something from this, or I hope you enjoyed it, or I hope it made you want to try out Time Thief Springans, because the deck's actually reasonably fun and can, in theory, produce very strong boards. Obviously, you won't always start with this specific hand. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, but most importantly, hope you have a nice day.